setting of the Phantom Hitchhiker is critical to the story's eerie and suspenseful atmosphere. It unfolds on a desolate road, typically under the cover of night, which plays a significant role in building tension. The darkness enveloping the surroundings creates an air of uncertainty, making even the most mundane journey feel fraught with danger. Nighttime often evokes feelings of vulnerability and fear, as visibility is limited and the mind can easily conjure frightening images. The isolation of the road enhances the narrative, emphasizing the character's solitude. There are few signs of civilization, contributing to a sense of abandonment. This isolation heightens the tension as the driver navigates through an empty landscape, unsure of what may lie ahead. The choice of a late-night setting is intentional, as it mirrors the protagonist's emotional state, one of confusion, fatigue, and unease. It is a time when most people are safely tucked away in their homes, yet the driver finds himself traversing a deserted route, amplifying the feeling of being exposed to the unknown. The story often describes the weather conditions accompanying the drive. A chilly breeze or an overcast sky can add to the foreboding mood, reinforcing the idea that something unnatural is afoot. Additionally, the dim glow of headlights piercing through the darkness highlights the contrast between safety and peril, emphasizing the precarious situation the driver finds himself in. The surrounding silence is occasionally interrupted by the sound of the car engine, creating a sense of isolation that leaves the driver feeling disconcerted. Landmarks along the road, such as abandoned buildings or old trees, may also play a role in establishing the environment. These elements can evoke memories or legends associated with the area, further deepening the mystery of the hitchhiker's identity. The story's setting, therefore, is not merely a backdrop, but an integral part of the narrative, serving to immerse the reader in a chilling experience of reflecting the psychological state of the characters involved. In conclusion, the setting of the Phantom Hitchhiker is a carefully constructed element that enhances the suspense and contributes to the overall themes of the story, drawing readers into a world where reality blurs with the supernatural. As the protagonist drives home late at night, he is enveloped in darkness, with only the dim glow of his headlights cutting through the shadows. This setting creates an eerie atmosphere that heightens the tension. Suddenly, he notices a young woman standing alone on the roadside, her appearance strikingly vulnerable against the desolation of the night. She raises her hand, signaling for a ride, and her presence evokes a mixture of compassion and concern in the driver. Intrigued and empathetic, he decides to stop and offer her a lift. As she enters the car, the man observes her closely, noting her youthful features and the sadness that lingers in her eyes. She appears disheveled, hinting at a recent distress, which deepens the driver's concern. Their initial conversation reveals that she is trying to return home, but specific details about her life remain vague, adding to the mystery surrounding her character. Throughout the ride, the woman's demeanor oscillates between gratitude and an unsettling air of detachment. She speaks softly, sharing bits of her story, but the driver notices that she avoids discussing her circumstances in depth. As the journey progresses, he becomes increasingly aware of the unusual chill in the car, a sensation that seems to seep from the woman herself. The road twists and turns as they approach her destination, and a palpable tension builds in the vehicle. Just as they near her home, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. In a split second, the woman vanishes from the passenger's seat, leaving behind only a lingering chill and a sense of disbelief. The driver is left bewildered, grappling with what he has just experienced. This encounter raises questions in his mind about the nature of the woman and the reality of the situation. Was she truly a living person, or a manifestation of something otherworldly? The surreal quality of the experience haunts him, propelling him to seek answers about the mysterious young woman he had just met. This pivotal moment not only sets the stage for the story's unfolding mystery, but also highlights the deep emotional impact of human encounters, even those that defy logical explanation. As the man continued his journey home, he noticed a young woman standing alone on the side of the road, her figure illuminated by the faint glow of his headlights. She appeared vulnerable, dressed in a light-colored dress, and her demeanor suggested she was in distress. Despite the late hour and the eerie silence surrounding them, the man felt compelled to help. When he pulled over, the woman approached his car, expressing her gratitude for the ride. She introduced herself and mentioned that she had been waiting for a long time for someone to stop. The man's initial apprehension faded as they exchanged pleasantries, and he began to feel more at ease in her presence. Her voice was calm and soothing, and there was an air of innocence about her that intrigued him. As they drove, the woman pointed out landmarks and shared snippets of her life, including her fondness for the nearby town and the friends she was eager to see. The man listened intently, captivated by her charm and warmth. The conversation flowed effortlessly, creating an unexpected bond between them despite the unusual circumstances of their meeting. As they neared her destination, the mood shifted subtly. The woman became quiet, her gaze fixed on the passing scenery as if lost in thought. The man, sensing the change, glanced at her and noticed a contemplative expression on her face. It was as if she was reliving a moment from her past. A bittersweet nostalgia etched into her features. Suddenly, as they approached a particular intersection, the woman turned to the man, her eyes shimmering with a mix of emotions. In that instant, before he could respond, she vanished from the seat beside him, leaving behind an unsettling silence. The driver felt a chill run down his spine as he processed the inexplicable event, his mind racing with questions, struggling to understand what had just happened. He instinctively slowed the car and looked around, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. The road was empty, and the night was shrouded in an oppressive stillness. Confusion gripped him as he realized he was now alone, with only the haunting memory of their encounter lingering in the AIR. The most chilling moment occurs when the young woman suddenly vanishes from the vehicle. This event captures the essence of the supernatural and raises questions about reality and perception. The man, initially unaware of the unusual nature of his passenger, experiences a growing sense of confusion and disbelief as he realizes she has disappeared without a trace. This pivotal moment serves as a catalyst for the unfolding mystery and sets. Inexplicable phenomenon disrupts the narrative flow, creating tension and suspense. The suddenness of her disappearance evokes a visceral reaction in the audience, who may relate to the driver's bewilderment. Moreover, the narrative cleverly employs the element of surprise, challenging the driver's understanding of reality. His initial comfort in helping a stranger transforms into a haunting realization that he may have encountered something beyond human comprehension. The juxtaposition of a typical hitchhiking scenario against the backdrop of a ghostly encounter heightens the intrigue and invites readers to contemplate the boundaries of life and death. After her disappearance, the man's decision to seek answers leads him to the elderly couple's home, further deepening the emotional impact of the story. This quest for understanding not only serves to connect the dots of the mysterious event, but also reflects a human desire for closure. It is through this investigation that the backstory of the woman is revealed, intertwining themes of grief and loss. The revelation that she is a ghost adds a layer of depth to the narrative, prompting readers to reflect on the nature of existence and the stories that linger in the places we traverse. In essence, the mysterious disappearance of the hitchhiker encapsulates the themes of the supernatural, the unknown, and the emotional weight of unresolved lives. This moment serves as a reminder of the thin veil separating the living from the departed, leaving a lasting impression on both the characters within the story and the audience who encounters it. The driver's decision to visit the house where the young woman requested to be dropped off serves as a crucial turning point. This action signifies his quest for understanding and resolution after experiencing something inexplicable. Upon arriving at the house, he encounters an elderly couple, which adds depth to the story by introducing the emotional weight of their revelation. The couple's warm demeanor contrasts sharply with the chilling circumstances surrounding their daughter's fate. As the elderly couple shares their story, the driver learns that their daughter tragically died in a car accident many years ago. This disclosure deepens the mystery, prompting questions about the nature of the young woman he encountered. Was she a spirit trying to communicate or fulfill an unfinished desire? The revelation serves to blur the lines between reality and the supernatural, challenging the driver's perception of life and death. Moreover, the couple's grief is palpable, demonstrating that loss can linger indefinitely. Their continued sorrow reflects the emotional scars left by the untimely death of their daughter, emphasizing the profound impact such tragedies have on families. The driver's interaction with them highlights the universal theme of longing for connection, even with those who are no longer present. The story provokes contemplation about the nature of existence and the possibility that some souls remain tied to the earthly realm, seeking closure or recognition. This leaves the reader pondering the implications of life after death and the idea that spirits may wander among the living, unnoticed yet yearning for connection. Additionally, the incident serves as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. The driver's experience underscores the potential for extraordinary encounters in ordinary circumstances, urging individuals to remain open to the mysteries of life. By the conclusion, the driver is left not only with a chilling experience, but also with a sense of empathy for the grieving couple, reinforcing the human experience of loss and the search for meaning beyond the physical realm. The protagonist experiences a shocking revelation when he visits the home of the young woman he had just given a ride. Upon arrival, he is greeted by an elderly couple who, rather than displaying confusion or anger at the unexpected visitor, reveal a heart-wrenching truth about their daughter. They inform him that their daughter tragically lost her life in a car accident many years ago, and that accident occurred on the very road where the man had picked up the hitchhiker. This revelation transforms a simple story into a profound exploration of grief and the supernatural. The emotional weight of this moment underscores the enduring nature of love and loss. The elderly couple's demeanor conveys a sense of unresolved sorrow, suggesting that they have spent years coming to terms with their daughter's death. Their calm yet sorrowful recounting of the incident highlights the impact of such a tragedy, not only on immediate family, but also on the broader community, as the loss reverberates through time. Additionally, the concept of the ghostly hitchhiker serves as a powerful metaphor for the lingering attachments that people maintain to their past. The daughter's spirit, manifested in her request for a ride, symbolizes the idea of unfinished business. She may be attempting to reconnect with the living world or seeking closure for herself and her grieving parents. This encounter illustrates how unresolved issues can manifest in the afterlife, suggesting that the boundary between the living and the dead is not as distinct as it appears. Moreover, the twist adds an eerie quality to the narrative, inviting readers to question their beliefs about life after death. It provokes curiosity about the nature of spirits and whether they can communicate with the living. This element of mystery reinforces the tale's folkloric essence, as it plays on societal fears and fascination with the supernatural. Ultimately, the revelation not only drives the narrative forward, but also encourages reflection on themes of love, loss, and the human experience. It leaves a lingering sense of melancholy, prompting readers to contemplate the emotional connections that persist beyond physical existence. The tale of the phantom hitchhiker is a prevalent urban legend that resonates across cultures, reflecting society's fascination with the supernatural and unexplained phenomena. This story has evolved into a modern myth, often shared in informal settings, particularly among friends or at gatherings where storytelling serves as a social bonding activity. Urban legends like this one serve as a lens through which communities can explore their fears and anxieties. The phantom hitchhiker embodies a variety of societal concerns, including fear of the unknown and the potential dangers of the road. The image of a solitary figure on a dark highway evokes feelings of vulnerability, making listeners reflect on the risks associated with picking up strangers. This sense of caution can also provoke discussions about trust, safety, and the unpredictability of human interactions. Moreover, the tale highlights the theme of unfinished business, representing the idea that some souls may linger due to unresolved issues or desires. The young woman's desire to return home symbolizes the longing for connection and closure that many people experience, both in life and death. This aspect of the story encourages listeners to ponder their own lives, relationships, and the impact of their actions on others. The enduring nature of the phantom hitchhiker story can also be attributed to its adaptability. Variations exist across different cultures, with each version incorporating local customs, beliefs, or historical events. This fluidity allows the narrative to remain relevant, resonating with new generations, while reflecting contemporary societal values and concerns. In addition to its cautionary elements, the story can also be seen as a means of coping with grief and loss. The encounter with a ghostly figure may evoke feelings of nostalgia for those who have lost loved ones, providing a framework for understanding the concept of mortality. It suggests that love and connection can transcend death, offering comfort to those left behind. Ultimately, the phantom hitchhiker is more than just a ghost story. It encapsulates complex emotions and societal themes, providing a rich tapestry of meaning that continues to captivate audiences. Its ability to provoke thought and discussion ensures its place as a significant element of modern folklore. The tale of the phantom hitchhiker has significant cultural resonance, often categorized as an urban legend that transcends geographical boundaries. Its widespread nature indicates a universal fascination with the supernatural and the unknown. Variants of this story can be found across different cultures, each reflecting local beliefs and societal values. The phantom hitchhiker narrative taps into deep-seated fears surrounding mortality and the afterlife. It provokes thought about what happens to us after we die and raises questions about the existence of spirits. This theme resonates with many, as the idea of encountering a ghostly figure evokes both dread and curiosity. These stories often serve as a means of grappling with loss, helping individuals process grief by presenting the notion that those we have lost might still linger in some form. The urban legend speaks to societal concerns about safety, particularly for women. The image of a young woman hitchhiking alone serves as a powerful symbol of vulnerability. This aspect of the story may resonate particularly with women who are often more cautious, a means of grappling with loss, helping individuals process grief by presenting the notion that those we have lost might still linger in some form. The urban legend speaks to societal concerns about safety, particularly for women. The image of a young woman hitchhiking alone serves as a powerful symbol of vulnerability. This aspect of the story may resonate particularly with women who are often more cautious. Reach, allowing it to enter popular culture and become part of collective memory. The story's adaptability ensures its relevance across generations, captivating audiences with its blend of mystery and moral lesson. The legend serves as a vehicle for community bonding. Sharing ghost stories creates a sense of connection among individuals, whether in informal gatherings or formal settings like ghost tour. The act of recounting these tales fosters a shared experience that strengthens communal ties. The cultural impact of the phantom hitchhiker lies in its ability to address fundamental human fears, provide cautionary lessons, and promote social interaction. Its enduring popularity highlights the power of storytelling to resonate with diverse audiences and endure through time. The tale of the phantom hitchhiker carries significant moral lessons, particularly regarding safety and the unknown nature of encounters with strangers. One key message revolves around the dangers of late-night driving. Many individuals feel a sense of invulnerability while on the road, especially during quieter hours. However, this story serves as a reminder to remain vigilant, as situations can quickly turn eerie or dangerous. Another important moral is the caution against picking up hitchhikers or strangers. While many people are inherently kind and willing to help others in need, this narrative highlights the unpredictable nature of such encounters. The protagonist's good intention to assist the young woman leads him into a situation that defies rational explanation. This twist emphasizes that not everyone has pure intentions, and what seems like a harmless interaction can have unforeseen consequences. The story touches on themes of unresolved issues and the idea of unfinished business. The young woman's spirit seeking a ride home suggests that her story is incomplete, reflecting the emotional burdens that can accompany loss and tragedy. This aspect of the narrative serves as a poignant reminder to address our personal connections and relationships while we have the chance, as unresolved feelings can linger long after a person has left our lives. The encounter with the elderly couple reinforces the importance of understanding history and context. The protagonist learns that the woman he picked up was not just a stranger, but someone with a past tied to the very road he drives on. This revelation compels listeners to consider the stories that lie beneath the surface of everyday interactions, urging them to acknowledge the complexities of life and death. The story serves as a cautionary tale regarding the unknown. Life is filled with mysteries that can often lead to unsettling experiences. The supernatural element of the woman's disappearance invites reflection on the thin line between reality and the supernatural, encouraging a healthy skepticism towards the ordinary. Overall, the moral implications of the phantom hitchhiker story invite contemplation of safety, empathy, and the mysteries of human experience. A woman in New Jersey, home alone, begins receiving strange phone calls, establishes the context of the story, crucially framing the narrative's atmosphere and underlying tension. The setting is a suburban environment, typically perceived as safe and secure, which contrasts sharply with the unsettling events that unfold. This suburban backdrop amplifies the woman's isolation, as she is physically alone, and the seemingly tranquil environment becomes the stage for the eerie occurrences. Being home alone is central to the story's tension, as it magnifies the vulnerability of the woman. The absence of anyone else in the house heightens her sense of fear and helplessness, making her more susceptible to the psychological impact of the strange calls. The idea that something threatening could penetrate the sanctuary of one's home taps into a primal fear, making the situation more relatable and terrifying. The woman's location, New Jersey, adds a layer of normalcy, grounding the story in a real, identifiable place. This makes the narrative more believable and accessible to the audience, who can easily imagine such events happening in their own neighborhood. The familiarity of the setting makes the story more chilling, as it suggests that such unsettling experiences could happen to anyone, anywhere, turning the ordinary into something sinister. The timing of the events, with the woman being alone at home, is also significant. It could imply nighttime, when the darkness adds to the fear and uncertainty, or it could be during the day, when the intrusion feels even more unexpected. The setting thus plays a critical role in building the narrative suspense, creating a stark contrast between the safety of the woman's home and the terror introduced by the mysterious calls. The initial tranquility of the setting is a deliberate setup, designed to be disrupted by the incoming calls. This disruption is what drives the story forward, turning a peaceful, mundane environment into a nightmare scenario where the familiar becomes unfamiliar and the safe becomes dangerous. The eerie nature of the calls is what first unsettles the woman. Unlike typical prank calls where the caller might say something or make noise, these calls are characterized by an ominous silence or the sound of heavy breathing. The silence on the other end of the line creates a sense of unease because it leaves the woman in suspense, wondering about the caller's intentions. The heavy breathing adds another layer of discomfort, making the situation feel more personal and invasive. The lack of communication from the caller amplifies the woman's fear. In normal conversations, people expect a verbal exchange. Silence, especially when coupled with the knowledge that someone is on the other end, feels unnatural and threatening. This form of psychological manipulation is what makes the calls particularly disturbing. The woman is left to imagine who might be on the other end, what they want, and why they are not speaking. Her mind might race through possible scenarios, each more terrifying than the last. The repetitive nature of these calls is also crucial. One silent call might be unsettling, but receiving several of them starts to feel like harassment. The frequency of the calls could lead the woman to believe that she is being watched or stalked. Each time the phone rings, her anxiety likely spikes, not knowing whether to answer or ignore it. This constant interruption disrupts her sense of security, especially since she's alone at home. The heavy breathing itself is a key element of the caller's strategy to instill fear. It suggests that the caller is intentionally withholding speech to provoke a reaction, using their breath as a tool to invade the woman's personal space. The sound of breathing is intimate, something normally associated with proximity and familiarity. In this context, it becomes a weapon of psychological terror, making the woman feel as though the caller is uncomfortably close, even if she doesn't know their exact location. Overall, the nature of these calls is deliberately crafted to unsettle and frighten. The combination of silence, heavy breathing, and repetition plays on deep-seated fears of the unknown and the unseen, transforming a simple phone call into a source of escalating dread. The focus is on the frequency and impact of the repeated calls on the woman. The persistent nature of these calls contributes significantly to the tension and fear she experiences. Each call is marked by the eerie silence or the unsettling sound of heavy breathing, which only intensifies the woman's anxiety. The regularity of the calls disrupts her peace of mind, making it difficult for her to feel safe in her own home. As the calls continue, the woman's initial concern evolves into a deep sense of dread. The inability to identify the caller or their intentions adds to her growing paranoia. Every time the phone rings, she is reminded of her vulnerability, and the unanswered questions only compound her fear. The repeated nature of the calls suggests a deliberate attempt to terrorize her, creating a psychological torment that is as disturbing as any physical threat. The impact of these incessant calls is not just limited to the moments when the phone rings. The fear they induce lingers long after the calls end, affecting the woman's ability to function normally. She may become hypervigilant, constantly on edge, and unable to relax, even when the phone is silent. The repeated interruptions invade her daily life, making her feel increasingly isolated and trapped within her own home. Over time, the woman's anxiety may lead her to question her own sanity. The constant, unnerving calls with no clear explanation might cause her to doubt her perceptions or wonder if she is imagining things. This psychological erosion is a critical aspect of the horror she is experiencing. The fear of the unknown, coupled with the relentless nature of the calls, pushes her to a breaking point. In conclusion, the frequency of these calls plays a central role in escalating the terror of the situation. The repeated disturbances create a pervasive atmosphere of fear, making it impossible for the woman to feel secure. The cumulative effect of these calls is a powerful tool in the narrative, driving the woman closer to the edge of her sanity with each ring of the phone. Upon realizing the persistence and the eerie nature of the calls, the woman in New Jersey decided to take the situation seriously. Initially, she might have dismissed the calls as a prank or technical glitch, but the continued occurrence and the unsettling silence on the other end of the line likely triggered a deeper sense of unease. The strange behavior of the caller, who either breathed heavily or remained completely silent, added to her growing fear. Feeling threatened and recognizing that something was not right, the woman made the crucial decision to contact the police. Reporting the situation to law enforcement was an important step, as it demonstrated her growing concern and her instinct to protect herself. This decision was likely driven by the repeated nature of the calls, which suggested that this was not a one-time event, but a deliberate act intended to disturb or intimidate her. In her report to the police, the woman would have provided as many details as possible about the calls, including the time they were received, the number of calls, and any distinguishing features she noticed. Her ability to describe the calls accurately and her sense of urgency likely influenced the police's response to her situation. The woman's decision to involve law enforcement highlights her awareness that she was facing a potentially serious threat and needed professional help to address it. By reporting the calls, the woman handed over control of the situation to the authorities, trusting that they had the expertise to investigate the matter and ensure her safety. The police, equipped with resources and technology, took her report seriously and began their investigation. The woman's actions set the stage for the chilling discovery that would follow as the police traced the source of the calls. Her decision to involve the police not only underscored her fear, but also her desire to bring an end to the disturbing situation she was facing. After the woman reports the unsettling calls to the authorities, the police begin their investigation with a sense of urgency, given the disturbing nature of the incidents. The first step for the police is to trace the origin of the phone calls, which in such cases typically involves technical resources, including tracking and triangulating the source of the signal. The use of these techniques helps them to narrow down the location from where the calls are being made. Initially, the police might consider several possibilities: an external prankster, a stalker, or someone targeting the woman from a distant location. However, as they dig deeper, their findings take a chilling turn. During the tracing process, it becomes apparent that the calls are not coming from outside the house as one might expect. Instead, they are shocked to discover that the calls are originating from within the woman's own home. This revelation shifts the investigation dramatically. The police must now consider the terrifying possibility that an intruder has breached the home and is making these calls from inside. This possibility transforms what might have seemed like a case of harassment or prank calls into a potentially life-threatening situation. The police would then need to act swiftly to protect the woman, ensuring her immediate safety while attempting to apprehend the intruder. The discovery of the internal origin of the calls leads to several crucial actions. Law enforcement might set up surveillance, conduct a thorough search of the home, and potentially evacuate the woman to a safe location while they secure the premises. The revelation also necessitates a different type of investigation, one that now focuses on how the intruder gained access to the home, how long they may have been there, and what their intentions are. Ultimately, this point in the story underscores the sheer horror of realizing that the threat is not distant or external, but terrifyingly close, already within the perceived safety of one's home. The most chilling moment in this scenario is when the police inform the woman that the disturbing calls she's been receiving are originating from within her own home. This revelation takes the fear to an entirely new level, transforming the situation from unsettling to terrifying. The woman likely thought she was dealing with an external threat, possibly a prankster or stalker, but the realization that the danger is much closer than she ever imagined introduces a profound sense of vulnerability and horror. This discovery suggests that the intruder has been inside the house all along, silently watching and tormenting her from within the very walls that should have been her sanctuary. The idea that someone could be lurking so close, completely unnoticed, amplifies the terror. The house, which once provided safety and comfort, is now a place of danger, and every shadow or creak takes on a new, sinister meaning. Moreover, the revelation forces the woman to question how long the intruder has been inside and how well they know her routines and habits. The intruder's ability to make these calls without being detected implies a familiarity with the layout of the house and the woman's daily life. This kind of intimate invasion of personal space is psychologically horrifying, as it suggests a level of obsession and malice that goes beyond mere harassment. The phrase "the calls are coming from inside the house" has become a powerful trope in horror stories, often used to signify the ultimate breach of safety and security. In this context, it serves as a turning point where the narrative shifts from eerie suspense to outright terror. The woman's sense of isolation is compounded by the fact that the threat is not some distant, faceless entity, but something or someone that has infiltrated her home. This realization can lead to panic, desperation, and a frantic search for safety, as the woman must now confront the terrifying reality that the enemy is already inside. The revelation that the calls are originating from inside the house is a pivotal moment that dramatically escalates the tension and fear in the situation. This detail implies that the woman is not alone and her sense of security is shattered. The idea of an intruder being present within her home, silently observing her, is deeply disturbing. It plays into primal fears of being watched and stalked within what should be the safety of one's own sanctuary. This scenario introduces a psychological terror that is far more chilling than the calls themselves. The realization that the caller is inside the house suggests that the intruder has intimate knowledge of the woman's movements and surroundings. The intruder might be lurking in the shadows, aware of her every action, while she remains oblivious to their presence. This invasion of personal space creates a sense of vulnerability and helplessness, as the woman no longer has control over her environment. The fact that the calls are coming from inside the house also raises the stakes in terms of immediate danger. The woman is no longer dealing with a distant, anonymous threat, but with a tangible, close-quarters menace. The fear shifts from abstract to concrete, as the intruder could potentially confront her at any moment. This situation compels the woman to take immediate action, whether it's to hide, escape, or find a way to defend herself. This twist emphasizes the importance of trust and the violation of it. The woman may have believed she was safe, only to have that belief violently overturned. It's not just her physical safety that's at risk, but also her mental and emotional well-being. The presence of the intruder inside her home suggests a betrayal of the very idea of home as a place of refuge and security, turning it instead into a site of danger and fear. The implication that the caller is inside the house transforms the scenario from a creepy, unsettling experience into a full-blown nightmare, where the woman's immediate safety is threatened by a hidden, malevolent presence. The psychological impact of receiving strange calls can be profound and multifaceted. In this scenario, the woman in New Jersey experiences heightened anxiety and paranoia as a result of the unsettling nature of the calls. Each time the phone rings, her heart races, knowing that it could be another encounter with the unknown. This constant state of alertness can lead to significant stress and disrupt her daily routine, as she becomes increasingly preoccupied with the fear of potential danger lurking nearby. Isolation plays a crucial role in amplifying her feelings of vulnerability. Being home alone heightens her sense of exposure, making her more susceptible to fear. The silence following the heavy breathing intensifies the eerie atmosphere, leading her to imagine worst-case scenarios. As a result, her mind may create elaborate narratives about who's calling and their intentions, further deepening her distress. This mental turmoil can lead to insomnia, irritability, and difficulty concentrating, severely impacting her mental well-being. The fear of invasion is another key psychological factor. The revelation that the calls are originating from inside her house adds an alarming layer to her anxiety. The notion that someone may be intruding in her personal space without her knowledge creates an overwhelming sense of helplessness. This feeling can result in a loss of trust in her surroundings, making even familiar spaces feel threatening. Her home, typically a place of safety, becomes a source of terror, which can lead to a long-lasting impact on her perception of security. The experience may lead to feelings of shame or embarrassment. Victims of such situations often grapple with the fear of being judged for their reaction to the calls. They might feel as if they are overreacting or being irrational, which can discourage them from seeking help or discussing their experiences with others. This internal conflict can further isolate them, compounding their distress. The psychological aftermath of such an event can linger long after the calls have stopped. The woman may find herself hypervigilant in the future, reacting strongly to any unexpected sounds or phone calls. This persistent anxiety can alter her interactions with others and lead to a general mistrust of people. Ultimately, the psychological ramifications of strange calls extend far beyond the immediate fear, influencing the victim's mental health and perception of safety in profound ways. The psychological impact of receiving unsettling phone calls can be profound and multifaceted, particularly in the context of the scenario where a woman in New Jersey experiences repeated eerie calls from an unknown source. Initially, the situation creates a sense of paranoia, leading the woman to question her safety and security within her own home. The mere act of being alone amplifies these feelings, as solitude can often make individuals more vulnerable to fears and anxieties. As the calls persist, the lack of communication, merely heavy breathing or silence, intensifies the mental strain. This form of communication, or lack thereof, is deeply unsettling, as it leaves the recipient with unanswered questions. The uncertainty of the caller's identity and intentions fosters a sense of dread, making the woman hyper-aware of her surroundings. This heightened vigilance can lead to stress, causing her to feel constantly on edge and unable to relax. Reporting the calls to the police adds another layer to her psychological experience. While seeking help is a proactive step, it can also evoke feelings of helplessness and fear that the situation may be beyond anyone's control. The police's involvement might initially provide reassurance, but the revelation that the calls originate from within her home can shatter any semblance of security. This twist transforms her safe space into a potential site of danger, complicating her emotional landscape. Such experiences can lead to long-lasting effects. The fear of being targeted can cause distrust towards others, as the woman may begin to see threats where none exist. Social interactions may become fraught with anxiety, impacting her relationships and daily life. Additionally, the trauma of feeling invaded can result in insomnia, nightmares, or anxiety disorders, as the mind struggles to process the violation of personal space and privacy. This incident can serve as a reminder of the psychological effects of perceived danger. The woman's journey through fear, helplessness, and the fight for safety reflects a universal struggle against the unknown, illustrating how unsettling experiences can leave deep emotional scars. The intersection of fear, privacy, and safety encapsulates a core human experience, resonating deeply with anyone who has faced similar threats to their sense of security. The narrative of a woman receiving strange phone calls in her own home captures the essence of urban legends, reflecting deep-seated fears that resonate with many. Urban legends often thrive on the themes of the unknown and the uncanny, tapping into primal fears regarding personal safety and privacy. One of the most striking aspects of this story is the psychological tension created by the mysterious calls. The woman's isolation amplifies her fear, illustrating how vulnerability can heighten anxiety. The fact that the caller remains silent or merely breathes heavily transforms an ordinary situation of phone ringing into a harrowing experience. This technique of suspense, prevalent in horror narratives, serves to keep the audience on edge as they anticipate an unknown threat lurking in the shadows. The discovery that the calls originate from within the house adds an alarming twist, transforming a seemingly harmless scenario into a terrifying reality. This revelation plays on the fear of betrayal by one's own space, Where a person should feel safest, it evokes thoughts of intruders or hidden dangers that can exist in familiar settings, emphasizing that not all threats are external. The irony of the situation enhances the emotional impact as the woman realizes her sanctuary has become a potential trap. The story serves as a commentary on the pervasive nature of fear in modern society. With increasing awareness of personal safety and crime, the narrative resonates with those who have experienced similar feelings of unease. It encapsulates the dread many people feel when they are alone, especially women who often navigate their lives with a heightened sense of vulnerability. Urban legends like this often leave a lasting impression, sparking conversations about safety and the unknown. They challenge individuals to confront their fears while also providing a thrilling experience. The psychological depth of the story invites reflection on broader societal issues, such as the perception of danger in everyday life and the psychological effects of isolation. Ultimately, the narrative serves as a chilling reminder of the thin line between safety and danger, compelling listeners to reconsider their own perceptions of security and vulnerability.